You're idling at a red light in your $87,000 Ford F-250 King Ranch Edition. The leather seats smell new. The dashboard glows like a spaceship, and when you roll past that Prius, you sit 6 inches taller than everyone else on the road. You feel powerful, you feel capable, you feel like a man who can handle anything life throws at him. Except here's the thing, you work in it. Your job involves zero construction, zero farming, and zero towing. The bed of your truck has carried exactly 3 items in the last 8 months. A bag of mulch from Lowe's, your kid's bicycle, and a case of Costco water bottles. Meanwhile, you're hemorrhaging money so fast that you've become a walking subsidy program for Ford's quarterly earnings report. My name is Nick, and today we're going to calculate the actual cost of the Pavement Princess epidemic. Not what the dealer tells you, not what your buddies at the bar justify. We're going to run the numbers on what it actually costs to cosplay as a blue-collar worker while commuting to a climate-controlled office where the heaviest thing you lift is a laptop. Because somewhere between 2015 and now, American men collectively decided that masculinity could be purchased through monthly payments on a vehicle designed for commercial construction work. And the math behind this decision is so catastrophically bad that it makes buying lottery tickets look like a sound investment strategy. Let's start with the purchase price because that's where your brain stops working. The average new pickup truck in America now costs $62,000. That's not the fancy trim package, that's the average. If you want the one that makes you feel like a ranch owner, the King Ranch or the Laram Longhorn or whatever branding consultants decided sounds tough, you're looking at $75,000 to $95,000. For context, that's more than most people's annual salary. The median household income in America is $84,000. You are financing a vehicle that costs more than an entire year of your family's earnings. Let that sink in. While we add up what this decision actually costs you, the dealer sits you down and shows you the monthly payment. It's $1,247. That sounds almost manageable when they stretch it over 84 months. That's 7 years. Aha, you will be making payments on this truck for longer than most marriages last. But sure, $1,247 seems doable until we start adding the costs that nobody mentions during the test drive. First, fuel. Your F-25 gets roughly 15 m per gallon in mixed driving if you're lucky. A Honda Accord gets 35 m per gallon. Let's say you drive 15,000 m a year, which is pretty average. Like at current gas prices hovering around $3.550 per gallon. Your truck cost you $3,500 annually in fuel. The sedan would cost $1,500. That's a $2,000 per year difference or $167 per month just because you wanted to sit higher than everyone else. Then there's insurance. Now you'll hear people say trucks are cheaper to insure, and for liability they are. But remember, you aren't insuring a work truck, you're insuring a $90,000 luxury asset. If you total a Camry, the bank loses $30,000. If you total your Platinum F-250, they lose $90,000. That massive replacement cost spikes your collision and comprehensive premiums. Realistically, that's an extra $60 to $80 a month compared to the sedan. Now tires, those massive all-terrain tires that you absolutely needed. Even though you exclusively drive on asphalt, replacing a full set runs between $1,500 and $2,000. You'll need to do that every $40,000 to $50,000. On a sedan, tire replacement costs maybe $600. That's another $50 to $75 per month if we amortize it properly. Maintenance, a bigger vehicle, bigger everything. Oil changes cost more because the engine holds more oil. Brake jobs cost more because the rotors are massive. Everything is scaled up. Add another $100 per month compared to a normal car. We haven't even talked about registration and property taxes yet. Many states tax vehicles based on value. On a $90,000 truck, your annual registration could easily hit $800 to $1,200 depending where you live. Let's call that another $80 per month. So let's add this up. Your truck payment is $1,247. Add $167 for extra gas. Add $60 for insurance premium. Add $75 for tire depreciation. Add $100 for maintenance delta. Add $80 for registration. Your total monthly cost of truck ownership is now $1,729. But wait, we're not done, because you didn't pay cash for this monument to American excess. You financed it at 7.2%. 2% interest because rates aren't what they used to be, and your credit is good but not great. Over 84 months, you're not just paying $90,000. You're paying $14,748. That's $14,748 in pure interest. Money you gave to a bank for the privilege of borrowing money to buy a depreciating asset. Let's compare this to the alternative universe where you bought a 3-year-old Toyota Camry for $28,000. Your payment would be around $450 per month. Your insurance would be $180 per month. Your gas would be $125 per month. Your maintenance would be minimal. Your total monthly transportation cost would be roughly $850. The difference between driving the truck and driving the sedan is $879 per month. That's $10,548 per year. Over the 7 years you'll be paying off that truck. Choosing the truck over the sedan will cost you $73,836, $83,000. That's not an exaggeration. That's not fuzzy math. That's the actual opportunity cost of needing to feel like you could theoretically tow a boat you don't own to a lake you never visit. But here's what makes this truly insane. You're not just spending $73,836 extra. You're losing the investment returns on that money. If you had taken that $879 per month difference and invested it in a boring index fund averaging 8% returns after 7 years, you'd have $95,000. You could buy a lake house. You could buy the boat. You could actually become the person you're pretending to be when you drive that truck. Instead, you're sitting in traffic burning premium fuel while making payments on a vehicle that loses $15,000 in value the moment you drive it off the lot. And none of this accounts for the psychological weight. The stress of knowing that one unexpected expense, one job loss, one medical bill could collapse your ability to make that $1,729 monthly payment. You're not driving a truck. You're driving a financial anxiety machine with all-terrain tires. The question isn't whether you can afford the monthly payment. The question is what that payment is stealing from your actual future. Let's talk about what happens when you destroy your finances slowly over 7 years while convincing yourself you're being practical. Because the truck isn't just expensive to own, it warps your entire financial ecosystem. Like a black hole warps space. Every decision you make for the next decade gets filtered through the reality of that $1,729 monthly obligation. First, there's the home you can't buy. Mortgage lenders look at something called your debt-to-income ratio. They want your total monthly debt payments to be under 43% of your gross income. That truck payment alone eats up 26% of an $85,000 salary before you even think about a mortgage. Yes, you just locked yourself out of buying a $350,000 house because you needed to look rugged at the Starbucks drive-thru. Then there's the vacation you can't take. Your buddies are planning a week in Colorado. Flights are $400. The Airbnb split is $300. Lyft tickets are $500. That's $1,200 total. You look at your bank account, you just made the truck payment, you've got $600 until Friday. You tell them you're too busy with work, they go without you. You stay home and wash the truck in your driveway, convincing yourself that detailing the paint is basically a hobby. There's the emergency fund that never materializes. Financial advisors say you need 6 months of expenses saved. For you, that's roughly $18,000. But after the truck payment, insurance, rent, student loans, and groceries, you've got maybe $200 left each month. At that rate, it'll take you 7 and 1/2 years to build that emergency fund, which means for 7 and 1/2 years, you're one transmission failure away from a credit card spiral. And speaking of credit cards, let's talk about the debt you accumulate because of the truck. You can't afford new workloads, so you put $400 on the Visa. Your buddy's wedding is out of state, so you put the hotel on the card. Christmas comes and you've got nothing saved for gifts, so you put $800 on the card. Within 2 years, you're carrying a $6,000 balance at 23% interest. You're paying $115 per month in interest alone, which is pure financial evaporation. You're paying a bank for the privilege of having bought things in the past. Now let's talk about the relationship strain. If you're married or living with a partner, that truck payment becomes a third person in your relationship. Every financial discussion is shadowed by it. Your partner wants to save for a down payment. You can't because of the truck. Your partner wants to finally fix the leaking roof. You can't because of the truck. Your partner suggests maybe getting rid of the truck. You get defensive because you've tied your identity to it. Resentment builds. The truck isn't just costing you money, it's costing you peace. Here's something nobody tells you about expensive vehicles. They make you risk-averse in your career. You can't quit the job you hate because you need the steady paycheck for the truck. You can't negotiate aggressively for a raise because you're terrified of getting fired and losing everything. You can't take the entrepreneurial risk or the career pivot because the truck has you handcuffed to stability. That $90,000 status symbol just turned you into a wage slave. And the really twisted part, the truck doesn't even make you happy after month 3. There's a psychological phenomenon called hedonic adaptation. You get used to anything. That first week, climbing into the cab feels amazing. You feel successful. You feel powerful, but by week 12, it's just your car. The thrill is gone. You don't even notice the leather seats anymore. But the payment, that's forever. The insurance bill that arrives like clockwork. You've traded permanent financial stress for temporary emotional satisfaction. Let's run a thought experiment. Imagine 2 versions of you in parallel universes. Universe A, you bought the $90,000 truck. You're making payments, stressing about money, and stuck in your current job. Universe B, you bought the $28,000 sedan and invested the $879 monthly difference. After 7 years, Universe A, you owns a truck worth maybe $45,000 and has zero savings. Universe B, you owns a car worth $12,000 but has $95,000 in investments. Which version of you is actually winning? Here's where I lose some of you. Because you're thinking, but I actually use my truck, I haul stuff. I go off-roading, I tow my camper. Yeah, and if that's genuinely true if you're using that truck's capabilities weekly, then fine. You're buying a tool, but be honest with yourself. Most truck owners use the bed maybe 6 times a year. You could rent a U-Haul for $29.99 each time and save $80,000 over 7 years. You know you're not buying utility. You're buying a costume. The auto industry has spent billions of dollars convincing American men that truck ownership is somehow connected to masculinity, to competence, to being a real man. They've created an entire mythology around it. The commercials show trucks conquering mountains, towing boats covered in mud. They don't show the reality, which is a guy in business, casual, sitting alone in traffic listening to a podcast about productivity while making a payment that's destroying his net worth. And the dealerships are in on it. They don't care if you can afford it. They care if you can fog a mirror and qualify for financing. They've got you sitting in that showroom and they're running numbers. Okay, so at 84 months we can get you to $1,247 per month. Does that work? And you think, well, I make $7,000 a month, so yeah, I guess you're not thinking about the insurance, the gas, the tires, the registration, or the fact that you just locked up 18% of your gross income for 7 years. This is the part where I'm supposed to tell you there is a hack, a loophole, a way to have the truck in financial security, but there isn't. The math doesn't lie. That truck is a luxury item masquerading as a necessity, and it's going to cost you somewhere between $80,000 and $120,000 more than a sensible alternative over its payment period. The only way to win this game is to stop playing it. And I mean that literally, not as some motivational poster nonsense like you need to opt out of the entire truck as identity industrial complex. Here's what that actually looks like. You walk into a dealership not for a truck, but for the most boring, reliable sedan you can find. A Honda Accord, a Toyota Camry, maybe a Mazda 3 if you want to feel slightly less dead inside. You buy it used, 3 years old, cash if possible. If not cash, you finance it for 36 months maximum, not 84. Your payment is $350 instead of $1,100. That's $750 a month you just gave back to yourself. What do you do with that $750? You could invest it and have $95,000 in 7 years like we calculated. But let's be honest about human psychology. You're not going to invest every dollar, you're going to spend some of it because you're a human being who needs dopamine, so spend it on things that actually improve your life. Take the vacation you've been putting off, buy the nice dinner, upgrade your mattress because you spend a third of your life on it. The difference is these purchases don't come with a 7-year anchor attached to your ankle. And when your buddy pulls up in his new Tundra and makes a comment about your cute little car, you smile because you know something he doesn't. You know that his monthly payment is more than your rent. Used to be in college, you know that he's one transmission failure away from financial collapse. You know that in 5 years you'll have options and he'll have a depreciating asset and a payment book. This is the secret that dealerships don't want you to figure out. Cars are not investments, they're not even really assets, they're tools, and you don't buy a $90,000 hammer to hang a picture frame. You buy the tool that matches the job. The truck lobby has successfully convinced an entire generation of American men that sedan drivers are somehow less capable, less prepared, less masculine. It's brilliant marketing. It's also complete fiction. Your grandfather probably drove a station wagon and built his own house. The vehicle you drive has nothing to do with your competence. It has everything to do with your financial literacy. Let's talk about the but it holds its value argument because I want to murder this myth specifically. Yes, trucks depreciate slower than sedans. Might lose 40% of its value in 5 years while a sedan loses 55%. Sounds great, right? But you're starting from $90,000 versus $28,000. That truck lost $36,000 in value. The sedan lost $15,400. You still lost more money on the truck. Percentage depreciation is a meaningless stat when the absolute dollar loss is double, and the I might need it justification. You might need a lot of things. You might need a motorcycle for lane splitting in traffic. You might need a minivan if you have 4 kids. You might need a sports car if you suddenly take up track racing. We don't buy vehicles based on hypothetical future scenarios that have a 2% chance of happening. We buy them based on what we actually do 95% of the time. And 95% of the time you're commuting alone on paved roads. The real question you need to ask yourself is this: am I buying this truck because I need it, or am I buying it because I want to feel a certain way? And if the answer is the second one, that's fine, just be honest about it. Say, I'm spending $40,000 extra over 7 years to feel like the kind of person who owns a truck. Own it, but don't lie to yourself and call it a practical decision. There's a term in economics called Veblen goods. These are products where demand increases as price increases because ownership signals wealth and status, luxury watches, designer handbags, and yes, absurdly expensive pickup trucks that never leave the pavement. You're not buying transportation. You're buying a billboard that says, I can afford this payment. Even though you actually can't, here's my actual advice. If you already own the truck and you're drowning, sell it. I don't care if you're upside down on the loan. I don't care if it feels like admitting defeat. You're not captaining a sinking ship to preserve your pride. You're going to take the financial hit now. Buy something reasonable and stop the bleeding. Yes, you'll lose money on the sale, but you'll lose less money than if you keep making payments for another 5 years. If you don't own the truck yet but you're thinking about it, I'm going to save you $80,000 and 7 years of stress. Don't. Go test drive the boring sedan, sit in it. It's comfortable, it's quiet, it gets you to work. And when you're sitting in traffic, you won't be doing mental math about whether you can afford your own vehicle. The auto industry has built an empire on convincing you that you're not enough unless you're driving their overpriced machinery. They've weaponized your insecurity and turned it into monthly payments. The only way to win is to see through it. You don't need the truck, you never did. What you need is margin in your budget, options in your career, and the ability to sleep at night without checking your bank account. The boring sedan gives you that. The $90,000 truck takes it away. So the next time you're at that dealership and the salesperson is walking you through the features of the leather-wrapped steering wheel and the heated seats and the 17 cup holders, remember this. They're not selling you a vehicle. They're selling you a financial prison with really nice upholstery. And when your buddy shows up to the barbecue in his brand new F350 and asks what you're driving these days, you can tell him the truth. You're driving a paid-off Camry that cost you $200 a month in gas and insurance, and with the money, you're not spending on truck payments. You just booked a trip to Italy, you're sleeping 8 hours a night. Your retirement account actually has money in it. That's not losing. That's winning so hard that most people can't even recognize it anymore because we've been trained to measure success by the size of our monthly payments instead of the size of our freedom. The math is clear. The truck is a trap, and the only way out is to stop pretending that burning $80,000 over 7 years makes you more of a man. Real strength is looking at the numbers, admitting you've been sold a lie, and choosing the path that actually builds wealth instead of the one that just looks like it on Instagram. Buy the boring car, keep your money, build your life.